Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Coming up here on today's show, the latest news around Josh Jacobs. Gonna be honest, it's gonna make some of y'all a little bit nervous. We'll get into what the latest report is around the Raiders' star running back, and then the sources have reached out to me, have given me some numbers, and I do have a number of apparently what Josh Jacobs' team is looking for a brand new contract extension. Shout out to Lucky Irish. Latest here on Jacobs is this. Jacobs interviewed with Fox 5 News yesterday, okay? Was able to sit down, talk to a reporter, and apparently, according to that report, if the Raiders and Jacobs cannot come to a contract extension by the deadline, which is 4 p.m. Eastern time on Monday, July 17th, he is not going to be at training camp. In terms of other things that were said, Jacobs really vocalized the fact that he feels like that he is in really great shape. He feels like he is explosive, and he is ready to yet again carry this Raiders offense if need be. However, the big-time story here, though, is if they don't come to a contract extension, he's not going to be at training camp. And for those that don't exactly know the ins and outs of what exactly does it mean for a player to hold in, hold out, we'll discuss all of that. So when you hear, all right, no deal, I'm going to potentially hold out, this is the important information to know for when a player holds out. A player who holds out during training camp, which opens in July, can be fined $50,000 per day, which is up from $30,000 under the previous collective bargaining agreement. The previous CBA also allowed teams to forgive accumulated fines once the deal was reached, but that is no longer an option unless the absent player is a rookie contract. Now, let's just be real here, okay? When you hear all of this terms, and I do think it's important to know that Jacobs can only be fined if he signs the franchise tag. If he doesn't, he can't. Why? Because technically right now, he's not a member of the Raiders because he has yet to sign that contract. That's why when Las Vegas Raiders social media account put out, hey, let's look at the running back position, Jacobs wasn't on there. So I don't want everyone to hit the panic button in terms of, oh no, Josh didn't get that contract extension. Oh no, he's not at training camp. He's not at training camp because he doesn't have to be. And if I was Josh, I don't necessarily blame him. Do I want him at training camp from a Raider standpoint? Yeah, of course I do. But if you're Josh and you're not happy with your current situation, you can sit out training camp. As long as you're there before week 1, you're not going to lose out on any money. And honestly, I think even if Josh were to sign the franchise tag, and even if he were to skip out on training camp, I don't think that the Raiders would fine him. I really, truly don't. I think that they would be like, you know what, man, it's all good. We're just happy enough the fact that you signed the tag, that's a big enough win in our book. So really, this is according to a source, okay? He really, truly doesn't want to play on the tag, and if he doesn't get an extension, I was told that it could get ugly. The reason why that part makes me nervous and not the him holding out or not him showing up to training camp, him not being a part of the preseason, I don't care if he's not there at training camp. I don't care if he's not there at the preseason. As long as he is the starting Raiders running back come week 1 when the Raiders play the Broncos, that's what I want. He does have to sign the franchise tag in order for him to do that. What makes me nervous about the it could turn ugly part is if Josh flat out says, and somebody told me that he's like, I'm not going to sign the tag. If that's his standpoint that he will not sign the tag, I will simply say, shame on you, Jacobs, because you told everybody that you would, and that's okay. You can change your mind. But the Raiders then are also going to be put in a strong standpoint where they're like, hey, if you are straight up telling us that you're not going to sign the tag, the Raiders aren't going to sit around and wait for him to do it. If that ends up going down, the likelihood of a Josh Jacobs trade does increase. I personally, if I was the Raiders, I would call his bluff because I don't think that Josh does truly want to get traded. But how are you feeling? What is your confidence level right now? And if you're new to the Raiders Report, this is what we do. We interact with the nation. I want to know what your guys' thoughts, feelings are because the amount of circulation going on right now around this guy in the month of July, it's getting out of hand. Am I right? So scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 being you are not confident at all. 10, you are very confident that the Raiders and Josh Jacobs get a deal done. My answer coming up after this YouTube ad break. Coming up here, my reasoning for my confidence level on Josh Jacobs because plain and simple, right? Plain and simple, I do have confidence that Jacobs gets the deal done. but I also have a lot of confidence in Raider Nation to always turn these shows crazy, which is why I'm really excited to have our awesome sponsor here, ZBiotics. And if you haven't already heard about these guys, listen the heck up. Promo code ChatSports at zbiotics.com/chatsports. Let's face it, after y'all hit me with a bunch of super chats, I don't bounce back well the next day. That is, until I found ZBiotics. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink alcohol, it gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. ZBiotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut where you need it the most. Drink ZBiotics before drinking alcohol. Drink responsibly and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. One of my favorite parts about this product is the convenience and how easy it is to travel with it. If you're going to a bachelor party, this is a great product to have. Hell, if you're getting ready to go to a Raiders game, this is a great product to have. And the fact that this is going to be able to fit great into your suitcase, each bottle, 6 come in a package. It's super small, convenient. And when I have all those things, it probably means, guess what? I'm going to end up taking it on my trips. So go to zbiotics.com/chatsports or scan the QR code on screen right now to get 15% off your first order when you use code ChatSports at checkout. You can also sign up for a subscription as well, so you can stay prepared no matter the time or occasion. ZBiotics is backed with 100% money-back guaranteed, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund you your money, no questions asked. That's zbiotics.com/chatsports and use the code ChatSports at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, ZBiotics, for sponsoring today's show. So my confidence level around Josh Jacobs getting that contract extension on a scale from 1 to 10, I would say right now it is a 6. The more and more people that I talk to, the more sources that I talk to, do indicate to me that Jacobs is making it very clear to the Raiders, I want an extension. And the Raiders, even though they would like for him to play on the tag, know that they have the ability and that Ziegler has the flexibility and contract manipulation ability to be able to give Jacobs an extension that he likes, but also give the Raiders an out in case things don't go the right way. So the reason why all that's important is because if you've been following along with this offseason rumors around Jacobs, we know that Jacobs wants that extension, and the Raiders want him to play on the tag, and that the deadline is July 17th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and deadlines make deals, and the panic button by a lot of people is really, truly starting to get pushed because of how great of a player he is and what he means to this organization. Now, if you missed my show on Tuesday, I talked about how Jacobs had a conversation with the Raiders on Saturday. And Jacobs and his agent got an offer on Saturday for the very first time, which is good news because if you are making progress in something, it means you're going in the right direction. So Jacobs' agent didn't love the offer that him and his team gave, but they told me that they do believe that they're going to get a better offer from the Raiders at some point. Jacobs' agent also believes that a deal will get done before the July 17th deadline. The Raiders, they want Jacobs to be excited for 2023. And the only way it sounds like that's going to be possible is if he ends up getting an extension. What you don't want is a player on a fully guaranteed contract at $10.1 million that feels like that you went cheap on him and doesn't give 100%, and now he's not out there on the field because at the end of the day, hey man, he's like, why the hell would I go out there and put my body on the line for a team that didn't reward me after a year that I had over 2,000 yards? So the brand new update that I got today, because I saw the report come out from Fox 5 News around Jacobs potentially not going to training camp if he doesn't get his extension. So what I decided to do is I started to reach out to some people. And one of the things that I was told on Monday, or technically Tuesday, was watch out for Josh's social media. He's going to put something on his social media that's going to make every single person think a little bit, okay? From what I understand, Jacobs' family seems optimistic that a deal is going to get done. Jacobs' team is confident that an extension ends up getting done. So when you cover a team as much as I do, when you try to just reach out to the amount of people that I do, and don't get me wrong, there's at times that I'm like a cold caller. I'll reach out to 10 sources, 20 sources, 30, and if one person reaches back to me, that's a win in my book. I can talk about what I was given in that information. So to me, when I hear, hey, watch out for Josh Jacobs' social media, which was on Tuesday, and now this morning, Thursday, Jacobs had this on his Instagram story, and all it said was, "Lord, thank you, forever grateful." I don't know if this has anything to do with the Raiders. I have absolutely no idea. But I do know this. And please, if I'm wrong on this, call me out. You can find me on IG. You can find me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. When I think about the saga that is around Josh Jacobs since he has received the franchise tag, and let's even go after the draft. Let's talk about May, June, and July. How many times in May, June, and July has Jacobs posted anything positive about the Raiders on his social media? What's the answer to that? Off my top of my head, I can't think of a single thing. Yesterday, Jacobs posted on his Instagram story. Sure, it was one of his friends, but one of his friends shared the fact that he was at the Raiders locker room. Jacobs shared it. Now today, he's sharing all these type of things. And don't get me wrong, it's at his camp. The camp, though, was in Las Vegas. And now he's sharing something that, Lord, I thank you about. Lord, thank you, forever grateful. I'm just saying, some dominoes are starting to fall. Some smoke is starting to appear, and where there is smoke, there is fire. And I do think some of the smoke is starting to translate into a potential Josh Jacobs contract extension. Now, the news that happened yesterday was around Saquon Barkley, and this also can be a reason why we have more of an update today around Jacobs, because the NFL is a dominoes league. The latest around Saquon Barkley, which came out yesterday from Deanna Rossini, was that Barkley doesn't want the franchise tag, and that also Barkley is threatening to hold out, and the fact that he wants a brand new long-term deal. Jacobs isn't an idiot. Jacobs' agent is an idiot, right? Like, you don't get to this part of your career, you don't make the amount of money that these guys are making if you're an idiot. So they probably see all the brand new reports out there, and they're like, well, wait a minute. If this is going to happen for Barkley, let's turn up the heat a little bit here on the Raiders organization. So I talked to a Giants insider, and all the things that we hear are the Raiders want to wait on the Giants want to wait on the Raiders. It's you go first, no, you go first. It's the Spider-Man meme where they're both kind of looking at each other. The Giants and Barkley, they're going to end up getting a deal done. I do think it ends up happening July 16th or July 17th. And if you were to ask me what's the percent chance that they get a deal done, I'll say 90% chance based on the people I talk to. In terms of what's the likelihood that the Raiders and Jacobs get a deal done, I'd say about 55% chance that that deal ends up getting done. The reason why the Raiders have to tread with caution is because the Giants and Daniel Jones, they wanted to get a deal done. And that deal didn't get done until 10 minutes before the deadline happened. So if you're the Raiders, and I said this yesterday on my show, you got to be honest with Josh. Like, you got to be a man-to-man type of conversation, right? The reason why I am best friends with my dad is because when we've had those really tough conversations, I've looked him in the eyes, he's looked me in the eyes, and we've had that real-life conversation. Be honest with him. Either the conversations of this contract extension is legitimate, and our plan is to sign you to a contract extension, or you got to look at Josh and his team and say, it's not going to happen. You're going to play on the franchise tag, or you're going to play somewhere else. Those type of conversations need to be had. So when I sit there, I would look at Josh, I would look at his agent and say, this is your deal. This is going to be the best 3-year deal that you're going to get from me. This helps out the Raiders, and it puts more money in your pocket than you've ever had. I'm going to give you $22.2 million guaranteed, 3 years, $38.4. At $12.8 million per year, you're going to be the third highest paid running back in the NFL right now. And the reason why you're getting $22.2 million guaranteed is because franchise tag is $10.1 this year. If we franchise tag you next year, it's $12.1. $22.2 million. If Josh is like, I want more guarantees, I'll say that's fine. I'm going to offer you a 2-year deal. Most of the time, running backs don't want a 2-year deal. You know why? Because they want that long-term deal, because they know that the shelf life of a running back is very short. So I'll say, okay, cool. I'll give you more money per year. I'll give you more guarantees, but you got to sign a shorter year deal. The problem with these projections that I'm throwing out there, and a lot of times the negotiation tactics can change. They can vary. The Raiders and Jacobs are smart to say that I'm going to sit out training camp. They're trying to scare the Raiders. And that's what they absolutely should do. However, I was told today a number that Jacobs is apparently looking for. So the numbers that I was told today that Josh is looking for is 3 years, $40 million, and around $30 million in guarantees. That's what I was told. So the 3-year number doesn't really surprise me all that much. The $40 million number, that's $13.5 million. It's still a little bit more than what I projected. It's more money, obviously, this year. It's still about $1.5 million less than what Alvin Kamara makes, but the guarantees is what stuck out to me, okay? The guarantee, $30 million, that's top-notch money with Christian McCaffrey for most guaranteed money at signing. So if Josh's agent were to hit me with that, which that's the negotiating game, right? If I'm going to offer you 3 years, $38.4 million with $22.2 million, I can't just sit there and expect you to say, sure, let's do it. If this is the number you're going to give me, then if I'm Ziegler and I'm McDaniels, this is the offer that I would give. I'd say, okay, let's do this then. Let's go 3 years, $40.5 million. I'll give you a little bit less of guarantees at $28 million, and then that means you're making $13.5. From what I understand, this is going to be the deal that might end up going down. And it's because the Raiders, Jacobs, they're also basing it off of the reports for Barkley and the Giants. It sounds like the Giants and Barkley right now are talking somewhere around $14 million. So if the Giants and Barkley are around $14 million, I do think that offer to Jacobs is going to be just a little bit underneath that. So, yes, you get more money per year, a little bit less guarantees, $13.5 million. Is this a win-win? You guys can let me know. Let's hypothetically say Jeremy Chuggs goes live on Monday with the news that the Raiders and Jacobs got a contract extension done, and this was the deal. How would you grade it? Would you give it an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F? We've all been to school once or twice, hopefully for even more years than that. For me personally, if this is the deal that ends up going down for the Raiders, I would give it a C grade. It's an okay deal. It's a good deal for Josh. Could he have gotten more? Does he deserve more? Yes. However, if I'm also the Raiders, I'm not really in a spot to give a running back a contract extension coming off a year where I was 6-11. What's really going to be interesting is how those 3 years are structured. I am hoping it's the first 2 years are guarantees, and then the Raiders have an out clause to get out of that third season. That's what I would hope for if the Raiders got a contract extension done. Friendly reminder, though, I am this weekend going to be away. I'm going to be in Austin, Texas. Alex and I were planning for a wedding, so I got to go check out a few wedding venues. If breaking news happens on Monday, it's going to be Jeremy Chuggs, man. He's going to be here to keep you guys up to date. I'll probably zoom in to give my 2 cents, so please keep that in mind. So if any breaking news happens around the silver and black, reminder, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. That way you don't miss anything.